All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Coffee is for Closers. It's me and James today, and we are going to cover, I guess, what's been the difference over the last 6 months that's allowed us to develop salespeople incredibly quickly to where they go from selling, $29, 29 pound fitness sales into closing 10 to 15 sales a week at the 10 to 30K mark. So that's what we're going to cover. So if you want to hear how that's done and how we do it, then stick around.
Cue the intro.
Cue the intro. How dare you?
If you listen to this podcast, you will make your first million within 3 years. I'm going to repeat that. You will make $1 million within 3 years of the first episode you listen to. We don't want pikers. We're not here to save the manatees. We're here to make podcasts. You really want this. You listen and review.
Put that coffee down.
Over the last couple of months, we've really watched the sales team really grow a lot. And yeah, I think it's hard to put a finger on one particular thing that is really making the difference, but I think there's a few key factors that have allowed us to average, it's getting close to 10 sales a day. I'm just going through all the new sales reports, and there are, some days like the Friday the 19th where we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 sales for that day.
It averages out probably about 7 a day.
Yeah, seven.
Yeah.
Something like that. But that's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So if we averaged it out over a 7 day, because during the week, there's a lot of kind of 12, 13, 14 days.
Yeah, I think for us, our biggest days is usually like our Saturday, Friday US. It seems that most things come through then. Yeah. Or maybe it's just like I'm looking at it a little bit more because of...
No, I think you're right. I think it's a funny one, right? Like people don't really realize how cyclical sales are. And you close most of your deals at the end of the week, end of the month, because not everyone's just going to close on the first call, or they might make a commitment to close, but then put a deposit down, but we don't really count deposits as sales. We get them to not put them through until they're until they're an actual sale, because we used to put through deposits, but we don't want to then have to do the administration that it is a sale and then have to kind of go, there's a bunch of things that you have to go through. So we want to make sure that, so, we've been averaging, 7, 8, 9 sales a day, whatever it is, but sales really is cyclical. We get most of our sales end of the week, end of the month. So this week should be quite big because it is the end of the month is on Wednesday. So, a lot of companies, they buy stuff at the end of the month. A lot of individuals buy stuff at the end of the month. So it's just one of those things, I remember one time I sold 15, which at the time was huge, but heaps of guys are that was the record for a long time. But I think a bunch of our guys have broken that record since. I know
many times over, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes. Bill would have got 15 last week. He got 10 full sales and 5 deposits.
Yeah.
But again, we just said, we don't count deposits as sales. So he's already got 5 closes for the week lined up, which is great. Yeah, ready to go because they're all 30K paid in fulls. So
it's funny as well. Just to touch on that, if you're sort of selling a B2C, but in a B2B type of sense where there's a business owner who has partners and stuff, and typically they'll make those decisions and pay something towards that end of the month when they've had a review of all the expenses and there's cash left over in the budget, so they're happy to move forward. And that usually happens within the last couple of days for the month, because they've got a better overview of sort of where they're at, where things are rolling through that month, through that quarter, to enable those decisions to be made significantly easier. All right, so if anyone's selling those ROI-based stuff or, consulting into businesses, you'll find you'll get a little bit of that. At the easiest, it'll be more of an end-of-week decision, end of month or end of quarter, depending on price points and whatnot.
Just right on that magical day when the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the quarter lines up on the same day. Mm-hmm. You can't go this is the new normal. You guys made 20 sales last week. This is the new normal. You have pipelines and sales. And so pipelines fulminate over time, and you can cash in your pipeline. You can go for it and you can just cash in your pipeline if you want to. So if you're down on leads, that's why you want to have a pipeline. So you can just constantly have people coming through and you can have consistency. but like sometimes all of your pipeline leads like decide to close like it is into the quarter, into the month, it's just one of those things like as if you're running a sales team, like you never want to start the whole, all right, guys, this is a new normal, because like it's just not going to be. Like you're going to have big months, and hopefully your months get bigger, sort of month on month, quarter on quarter. But like, you know, for example, like we're going to do our quarterly planning next week, right? And so we've had an enormous March. Like we've done so many sales in March. It's like, it's actually broken a lot of our system.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second, but it's like, I'm not going to use March as the barometer for the next quarter. I'm going to use the average of January, February, and March as the barometer for the next quarter, because if there's 3 months, one of them will be down, because that's just how sales works, right? Like it's not always, but as long as it grows quarter on quarter, that's why like all of our growth projections and all of our internal bonus structures for the guys who have like, say, quote unquote, like profit shares with Sales Sniper, right? Like they're all based on quarterly growth, because if it was based on monthly growth, like it doesn't really make any sense, because it's not really how sales works. Sales is not like, especially the sales that we do, because the sales that we do is based off other people's marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
so like it can be really up, it can be really down. It looks like some of our accounts that were huge at the end of last year have been really small this year. They're starting to pick up again now, but they had real marketing issues. And so it's like, it's just one of those things where it's not the most predictable of businesses, but if you take it over a good long period of time, then you can kind of move out there. So like if you're a sales guy and you're like beating yourself up at the end of each week because you didn't make more sales than the week before, it's like, that's a ridiculous way of doing things, because you have to look at it over like a macro cycle. Micro cycles are good, but you should never make decisions based off micro cycles. Like you can always tell if we're dealing with a good business operator or a good sales guy because they have a bad week and they don't want to make any changes.
Yeah.
The bad business operators and the inexperienced sales guys have a bad week and they want their heads explode, and all of a sudden they start changing their scripts. It's like, are you like, let's stay the course. This works. We need much more data to decide what's working and what's not.
Yeah, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. Same as like the sales guys. Don't like you make 10 grand in comms one week. Don't go bragging, because you're just as likely to make one the next week. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't become a new normal. And hitting a great week, hitting a great month, hitting a great quarter is only good if it's replicatable again the next one, right? Otherwise, it's an outlier. And you can't make decisions based on an outlier. Same as a down month, or a down week. That's the game,
And also sometimes like there are just parts of the year where it's okay for sales to be down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you've got to look at it like in the fitness business coaching industry, November is trash. Every year, November is trash, but December is enormous. So it's like, we know that going in. It doesn't mean, and this is the thing that I think really pisses me off when people go into like the mindset component of sales. It's like, oh no, you got a bad mindset. Like you did 15 last week, got to do 16 the next week, got to be pushing for, always reaching for goals. It's like, no. That is stupid. And I'll tell you why. Because like, if you have a good understanding and have an unemotional understanding of how sales works and how marketing works and how business works, like you do not recalibrate your expectations based off a previous week or a previous month. That is ridiculous. That is like such an immature way of going about it. It's like, no. I'll just let everybody know. Never ask me this question again, everybody. I will always try and make the most amount of sales possible. Always. That's a given. I don't need to make new normals. I don't need it because I say, hey, I had a giant week last week, right? It means that we're probably going to have a normal or slightly below average week next week. That's a bad mindset. No. It's called fact because the pipeline has fulminated. We usually signed 1 to 2 people per week from the pipeline. That pipeline is now dried up because we've resolved it. So now all we have is new leads. So next week we will probably sell 1 to 2 less than normal. And then we will rebuild the pipeline over the next 4 weeks, right? So it will be a better month than the month before, but because of that 1 week, instead of getting it in dribs and drabs, you got it all in 1 week. Oh, it pisses me off so much when people are like, that's a mindset thing. It's like, no, it's not. Mindset is not a thing when you're good.
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there right now. If you're good at sales, mindset is not a thing. I was having this conversation with Marco at my little surprise birthday party. And it was like pre-call routines, post-call routines, morning routines. Like if you're really good at what you do, like you think Tom Brady needs to meditate for 3 hours before he throws a football?
Probably does that, bloke, though.
Football. I mean, he might personally, but like he just knows how to do it. He could wake up in the morning, hop out there, do a physical warm to warm his body up. But Jesus Christ, like that dude, just know he could throw in his sleep.
There's also so much element of irony, right? When the business owners say, "Oh, that's the new normal. We should be expecting that." It's like, okay, and if I have a shit week next week, is that a new normal? Yeah. Okay, so you're happy then that I got 2 this week instead of 15, that you're happy for us to keep getting 2. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, it does based off everything that you just said. Yeah. Right, that's exactly what you just said.
The answer I always say is, they go, how many sales are you going to guarantee? I go, how many leads are you going to guarantee?
I can't. I was like, well, then I can't, can I?
I can't. What a stupid question. Yeah. Like, what are we, children? Like, this is ridiculous. Let's just be adults and do the best we can.
It's like going into a casino, right? Going into the casino and say, I'm going to jump on this roulette table. Dear Mr. Roulette Ball Guy, whatever they call him, what are you going to guarantee that I'll land on? I don't. Oh, okay. You know, it's the same as sales. Like, it's a stupid thing to guarantee. Like, the other person just looks at you like you're an idiot if you ask them to do that. You know?
Yeah, so that's always my answer when people say, what's your guarantee? I'm like, what's yours?
My guarantee is I'll do my job if you give me everything I need to be able to do it. That's it. Yeah, exactly. That's all I guarantee.
It's like, and okay, it's like, okay, you want me to guarantee sales and you'll guarantee leads. What happens when your leads dry up? Like let's say your ad account goes down, are you going to pay me a retainer?
Yeah.
It's like, no. Okay, well then you're not guaranteeing anything. You're taking no risk. Then it's like, I don't care. Yeah. Like I'm going to do the best I can. It's the way that I make money. How I make money is doing sales for you. So I'm going to do the best I can to make all the sales that I physically can, because it's the only way that I make money.
Yeah. Why would I come in here and do it half-assed and not get paid? You understand how stupid that sounds, right?
Yeah. That's one of the big things when there's a lack of communication.
I don't think we have that as a problem much anymore, though.
The high ticket closing realm is so new as far as industry goes. You know, you look at like insurance has been around for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? High ticket closing as a commission only sales guy working for, online and working in the living room. It's not a very old industry. And so the nuances of how people work together hasn't really been ironed out very well.
No. Also, like
there's no industry standards.
The typical age range for most people in these internet businesses and consulting, coaching is anywhere from 20 to 35. You know, you don't really at those lower ends of your business career haven't developed that to the highest level yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a pro.
I'm definitely older than most of I would say probably on our biggest clients, somewhere around the same age. Younger guys, they can do well, but you can see
less consistent. Yeah,
in their decision-making process.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, tomorrow, right?
I'm 37. Yeah, tomorrow, 37.
Yeah.
So
birthday party on the weekend.
Yeah, which is funny because I had a birthday party in the new office. It was great.
Unveiled it. It was good, wasn't it? It was awesome being in there. Just going, oh wow, can't believe this is actually physically there and it looks good.
Yeah.
And for those wondering, really cool. Matt got his absolute handed to him from Marco in Street Fighter.
Of which I reckon I've played that game 10 times in my entire life.
I beat him in Mario Kart with a single hand.
Yeah. That's funny. The bet is NBA Jam. He walked away, and if you listen to this, Marco, you walked away like you'd done something impressive. I've literally played Street Fighter.
He walked away like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I'd play that game 10 times. All I was doing was button smashing. I had no idea what to do. Now, Mortal Kombat, I'm a bit better at Mortal Kombat. But NBA Jam is the game that we had and the bet on, and he wouldn't play it. I don't know if he was scared. He said he didn't want to beat me in front of my family.
You would have said that too.
It's exactly what he said. No, you kids, I don't want to beat you in front of your kids.
I don't want to embarrass them.
It was pretty funny. It was a good night. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Your son basically uppercutted me in the nose. I was almost crying. He ran from like the other side of the office and just like clotheslined me because I'm like trying to hide my hand from him. He was like, "Doosh." I was like, "Oh, no worries, buddy. Good shot."
He usually hits me in the balls, so it's funny he hit you in the nose.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. Anyway, back on track.
I actually went through the office today. It's looking really good. It should be ready by Thursday, so we can move in stuff on Friday, which is Good Friday. So I'm not doing shit on Friday, but anyway.
Yeah, easy.
But yeah, so I think let's talk about the development of salespeople. I think it's been great. Like I guess our first prototype was Rode.
Yep.
Rode was a phenomenal prototype. He came in having really very minimal experience in sales. He worked, I guess, selling for like Verizon or T-Mobile or something like that.
One of them,
which is sort of sales. It isn't and isn't. It's sort of more glorified order taking, in my opinion. It's like pipelining and order taking. And then he came to us and was willing to kind of do the work, you know, and he became a really successful sales rep. Like he's not a guy who makes like a boatload of money. Like he makes about $250,000 a year, but he only works like 20 hours a week.
Yeah, he does it kind of part-time, right? Which is
he has a charity and he has other stuff, and his missus makes good money. So like together they're making nearly $500,000.
And he's got kids and he doesn't want to work anymore. So
yeah, he doesn't have to. He's super happy. He's basically killing it. He's living his dream life. So that's perfect. But we managed to do that in probably 6 to 8 months, I would think, something like that,
and
to get him to that level.
We've probably cut the time down. Like there's a podcast you can watch that we did with Throat explaining that. And you're right, he was the prototype, but now we've got more guys in that we can do that quicker and more replicatable, more seamlessly. Like for me, I
Bill
think,
is probably one of the most impressive.
yeah, he's just gone like that, hasn't he? What do you make 10 sales?
Callie is one of our sales reps, and she really threw herself into it, and she plugged herself into the matrix, and she's been extraordinarily successful in all the accounts that she's been on. Like she has a very high close rate. She's very, very good. She's very consistent. She came in to work for us, was then offered a job by one of the guys that we sell for, but she chose to stay with us. So we actually put her on that account, but through us.
It's funny. Speaking of that, I had a guy reach out to me the other day wanting to hire us. I'm actually having a meeting with him after this. And he sends like, this is what I do, this is what I do. And he goes, the other reason why I wanted to touch base with you guys is my top producer came to work for you as an appointment setter, and now I don't have any good sales guys. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's available if you want him. 10% extra commission. So we'll be talking about that later, right? Yeah, I just found that funny. Like, I think the biggest thing is, like, we figured out what to do with Rode. There's not much that we've changed except for the fact that now it's not you directly developing Rode. It's not me directly developing Rode or those guys. We've really built, our management team to be able to do that and spend more time than what we were ever able to. Plus the systems are there. We've got other things in place that can assist with that, right? And it's the fact that we've created the team that can help develop our guys quicker is the biggest replicatable factor.
Yeah, it's been super interesting because I've just watched these guys like go from 2K a month, 3K a month, 5K a month, 8K a month, 10K a month, 12K, 15, 20. 40. You know what I mean? Like to the point where it literally broke the way that we did. We had to restructure the way that we did all of our billing because we pay our guys before we get paid pretty much every time. So
terrible business decision, but a very good.
But it works well from like a long standing because, like if our guys, like only in the most extreme circumstances will we ever pass a callback down to the sales guy. We pretty much wear it every time.
Unless it was a clear up on their behalf.
Yeah, unless it was like the salesperson or the person refunded within 2 days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Salesperson promised that we'd come to their house and mow their lawn as a part of their product, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just stupid stuff, right? So, which doesn't really happen anymore anyway. But generally speaking, we try and shelter the sales guys from those kinds of things, which is why everything goes through us. So they don't really have any, they're just happy, right? They only hear good things. They just sell stuff. They get paid their commissions really quickly. If there's an issue, then we pay it and we sort it on the back end. And it's not something that most places will do or would do, but it's the thing that I was very adamant about. But like our billing cycles were so mismatched between when we get from the commissions from the client and when we pay out that we ended up hundreds of thousands of dollars down in our cash flow, which is not like an enormous deal, but it's only going to get worse. It's a problem. It's like, okay, if we're doing X amount of sales and we're this much down, if we doubled the amount of sales that we did, we literally wouldn't have any money. We'd have to you know what I mean? We'd be out of
Putting everything on an overdrive real quick, right?
Yeah. And then like as well in the same month, our credit card went down. And then there's a whole bunch of things that happened that sort of allowed us to not be able to pull any credit. We just had to use cash for everything. Plus we're paying for the office and paying for this and paying for that, all that kind of stuff. Right. So it's like, oh crap, like this is interesting. We still had plenty of cash available, but it's like the cash that we should have was way different. And so our accounts weren't matching up very well. And so we had to restructure the way that we actually invoice people, so we had to restructure, still keeping the core principles the same, but change the timings of things to make it so that like our sales guys are so good, they broke our accounting business. It was never a problem that we thought we'd have. It was just something that I knew we were doing, but I just didn't think we would make it that many sales that quickly that we're paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in commission. Yeah. And sometimes we worked out on some accounts, we were 7 weeks behind.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it was like, oh man, like carrying seven weeks of losses.
It's tough and stressful, right?
Yeah.
Knowing even though the money's coming in and we're still net profitable, it's just like there's that 3 to 4 week gap where there's no cash in the account because of that, which is a problem when you buy a lot of stuff, you know? Yeah, exactly. All right.
So it was just it was an interesting phenomenon. And I think it was a good lesson. Was like, okay, like we hadn't really future-proof. We hadn't really thought of that. But it's a symptom of like rapid growth, you know?
Yeah. It's a growing pain.
10 to 15% per month. Like there are a lot of issues. You know, it means you're doubling every quarter.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, and our business can do that because we're not a coaching business. Like we're a meritocracy. We're a performance-based business. So we can triple, quadruple, quintuple our income without having to put in any more infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Like we don't require more people. With the business, with the clients that we have now, like if all of them doubled their leads over the next 6 weeks, like we would double or triple our revenue. But nothing would change. It would just that we'd have to do a lot bigger invoices. That's really the only change, which is one of the great things about being a sales guy. Is that you can you're performance based. One of the guys came to Ben today and was like, oh, I haven't really been making much money in this account. It's like, okay, are you closing deals? It's like, no. So it's like, what do you want me to do about it? And it was just like, can we put him on a base? It's like, no, like he got access that the account that he's on books 100 calls a day. I was like, if you can't make it work on that, you can't make it work.
You're not
like, yeah, maybe you're just not. And he is young. And it's like we put him on there as like hey, if you want an opportunity, here's your chance. But it's like I'm not moving stuff around so that like you have the greatest opportunity of like to be around the best sales guys on the planet and to be on an account that's crazy lucrative.
And it'd be a different conversation if he was the only salesperson. Right. But when there's other dudes that are making 30 grand a month with the exact same leads and the exact same amount.
Yeah.
The difference there is that they're making use of them and making sales.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's like, well, maybe you just need to go and get some more education before you.
Yeah. Maybe you need to come back in 6 months.
Or go drive, like Ben said, man, go drive Uber. Like work 20 hours a week doing this, do Uber 20 hours a week, and then wait till your skills are at a level where you can support yourself through sales because like, bro, it's not my job.
I had this same conversation. A guy joined Congruence Academy. He messaged me, and he's not making any money, right? I'm like, okay, why is that? He goes, I just haven't closed a deal in like 6 to 8 weeks. I go, didn't you say you joined the Congruence Academy? Yeah. He goes, yeah, I've probably come to like 2 of the sessions. I was like, why? He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, don't you think that maybe you've invested in something, didn't clearly put the work in or tried to get good at it, and you're not closing deals? It's like you obviously have time on your hands. Why don't you just do the fucking work, get good, right? He's like, oh, what should I do? I go, well, it's pretty simple. There's 2 things. Like either invest your time and money to get better, or quit and find another job because maybe this isn't for you. He's like, oh, but all I want to be is a salesperson. I said, then do the work, right? Like it's not hard. You've got it all there. Go back, figure out why you're not closing these deals. He's like, how do I figure that out? I go, listen
maybe
to them.
You shut up. Maybe if you shut up to your training calls, you'd learn how to do that.
Exactly right.
That's baffling to me.
I was like, go back, watch all the videos, figure out what you're not doing well, then practice it till you are, make some sales, get better, and then continuously repeat that process. It's that simple. You know,
Yeah.
you're just
People
not
think
doing it
sales
right.
is like a black art. It's not, man.
Yeah.
This is not a difficult activity to be pretty good at. I think it's like anything, right? Like you can be pretty good at sales pretty easily. To be really, really good just takes time and effort and all that kind of stuff. But like, you know, if you can't make 10, like if you can't close 10 to 15, like 2 deals a week, right? And you get like, let's say you get $500 a deal, right? Like that's $4.5, $5,000 a month.
Yeah. It's
like that. Like, how can you not do that?
It's funny because this guy goes, oh, it's like, why have I not been doing it? I go, I can't answer that. And he goes, maybe I'm just retarded. I go, maybe you are. Maybe. Well, it kind of seems that way, man. Like everything you've said is so chalk and cheese from what you want. Like you don't see the problem here. He's like, oh no, I don't really have that much time to do it. I'm like, what do you mean? How many calls a day you take? And he's like, oh, 2 to 3. I go, you don't have fucking time.
What are you doing the other 8 hours of the workday?
Yeah, what do you, like, sit on Xbox? Like, is there a raid on World of Warcraft that you're involved in? Like, me, mate.
Leroy Jenkins online?
Oh, it's bewildering.
People who tell me they don't have time, I go, why don't you check out my diary? Like literally back to back 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I got 2 kids, right? I got a wife, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm a pretty busy dude. My weekends are chock-a-block. Like, and I still find time to do stuff. Like if it's important to you, just find the time. Yeah. If you're waiting for like a magical 2 hours extra to be in your day, like then go live on a different planet where the day is 26 hours. Like that's your only option. But like everyone has the same 24 hours. And that's why it's like, if ever I'm feeling lazy or like I don't have time, like look at Elon Musk. The dude runs 3 enormous companies.
Yeah.
Right? He's got the Boring Project. He's got SpaceX and Tesla, you know, and he's got 3 kids. And so it's like, dude, if he's managing, like you're going to be fine, brother.
And you know what he had before that?
PayPal.
Right? And he sold that so that he could spend the time on other projects. Right? That's the difference.
Technically, he was kicked out of PayPal, but yeah. He was kicked out and sold it. He both.
I mean, he got the money, so he sold it, right? But let's not get into the details, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's just like everyone knows that single mother with 4 kids that's both jacked and successful.
Yeah.
You know, she's out there every day at 5 a.m. doing yoga on the beach and then, you know, going in, smashing her own work, making 7 figures, and then single mom and 3 kids. It's like, if you don't think, you're just lazy.
Yeah.
I don't have time. Do you watch TV? Yes, then you have time. Like, you have plenty of time.
Yeah. If you can tell me what the Kardashians did this week, you're not a hard worker. Yeah.
And that's not to say like I'm a big believer in hobbies. I don't think people should work 24 hours a day. Like I have hard stops. Like at 5 p.m., like everyone can go themselves.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, like I either start at 7 or 8 and I work till 5. And I'm not working at night. I'm not working on the weekends. But that's just because I've figured out, and this is a good tool for salespeople and business owners, that there is nothing that you can do that will be productive. There is no problem that you need to solve that cannot handle until tomorrow or Monday, because nothing that we do is super important. Like we do not save lives. Like if you're a coach out there and you think you're saving lives, you're not. Like I'm not undermining that what you're saying isn't good. It's not a good product. It's not good for people.
You're not pulling people out of burning buildings. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if a client complains or is unhappy, they can wait till Monday. If something like it doesn't matter. Like that's one thing. Like one of the guys that working right there, Ben, like he came from the military. He came straight from the military to here. And I literally first day I was like, hey, dude, there is nothing here that is worth staying back till 7 p.m. There is nothing here that is worth not being at home at 5 p.m. on a Friday. And there's nothing here that cannot wait till Monday. And I was like, and we drive hard and we work really hard and we do a lot more than most people. And we're a very hardworking ethics in the company. But I'm always like, yeah, like I told Will, I was like, take a holiday, mate. Like, go have some fun. He went and visited his mom, worked for 8 hours, 10 hours a day.
Yeah, so what's the
like,
point?
what are you working on?
What's the point? She's going to cook your dinner and then you'll see her next time. You know?
One of our appointment setters telling me they did 80 hours in a week. I'm like, first of all, no, you didn't. I'm like, you did not work 80 hours this week because
I
your
think you
job
did.
is appointment setting, and none of our clients have enough leads to fill you up for 80 hours a week. None. I was like, so that didn't happen. So now you're talking about perception versus reality. But if you perceive you're working 80 hours a week, that's a problem because that means you always think you're at work. So what are you actually doing with your time? Because there's no one in the company that's busier than me and you. No one. And we don't work 80 hours a week. Marco, Marco's probably busier than us.
Yeah, I don't respond to people on weekends either. You know.
Yeah, but I'm just like, if you're a sales guy and you tell me you're working 70 hours a week, you should be making 40 sales a week. Like, if not, then I told Will, I go, what are you doing? Are you just making up? Like, a lot of people just find themselves, they start making up SOPs and they start working on these projects with self-imposed timelines. And it's like, is that productive? No, it's not. Because I used to do it. Like, I remember I used to stay up, like when I was running gyms, I used to stay up until 2 a.m. trying to figure out the perfect layout for the equipment.
Or the perfect program for the next day. And then you get in and you throw it out the way because someone had an injury and it's not going to work anyway.
Yeah, it's just like, this is so stupid. And so, like if you're a sales guy out there or a business owner and you're working all those hours, it's like 80% of what you do is bullshit. Like we grow 10% gross a month. Like a month, 10% on the previous month, 10%. So 100 becomes 110, becomes, 121, becomes 135, whatever, how the fucking math works, right? So like, that's a pretty aggressive growth. And we have a lot of people and we work really hard, but like, man, there is just like, you can't get sucked in by the bullshit that like, you just have to like always be at work. And if you start feeling guilty for not being at work, that's no good.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah. I've been there. You've been there. It's just, you just got to chill the fuck out. I think having kids helps me because like, I will not work at home. Like I will not, I stopped taking my computer home. I was like, that was a big one. I just didn't have my computer. And then it's like, well, if I don't have my computer, how can I work? So I can email, but it's like, that's boring.
I personally, I work probably more hours than you. But when I say that, it's because I spread my work over. I get very productive in the afternoons, particularly when I have to catch up with people in the UK and stuff. So I'd prefer to take breaks during the day, spend some time. Yeah, well, you're different though, because your calendar is set, whereas I can be a little bit more flexible, and I'm happy to go do my shopping during the day and take 2 hours there, and then work 2 hours in the afternoon. Like, I prefer to work that way, and it's just what works for me because I figured that out. But I also have the conversation. Exactly right. They're very different circumstances. If I had kids, it'd be a very different story. I'd be like, no fucking breaks for you. You got to get it done by this time. But I have to have those conversations with my partner regularly. It's like, hey, if we're at home together and I'm not spending time with you, like, you have to have that conversation with me so I can realize. And they'd be like, you're right. Cut off now. Bang. Time together. Yeah. So I think
it's a hard one for sales guys in particular, because sales guys are just based on sales, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like,
yeah, sorry.
You just always want to be doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're constantly trying to figure out how you can make more sales. But like one of the things is just like, that's why I advocate for sales guys to have a second phone. It's like they have a personal phone and a work phone, because and that personal phone shouldn't have your work email on it.
Yeah.
Because like if you're out to dinner and you get an email and you check it at the dinner table when you're out with your missus on date night, and it's like a deal's falling through, all it does is piss you off.
You don't know.
All it does. And you can't fix that. Like, what are you going to do? Call the guy at the restaurant at 5 p.m. on a Friday night and try and resell him? It's like, no, you're not. You can't do it. He's not going to pick up anyway. So you might as well just get the you on the Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that sales guys do is like, I have to take these appointments because that's when the prospect's free. It's like, guy's going to be free at this time. I'll take that call. It's like, well, no. If you know how to control the call, you say, hey, this is when I'm available. Can you make that work? And then you only book the times that make sense for you. And it's like, oh, no, sorry, I can't do that. It's like, yeah, me too. I got other appointments. Sorry, I can't do anything after this time because I've got previous appointments, or I'm booked out at that time for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Can you do this? Okay, I'll make it work.
Yeah. I'll tell you who is awesome at that. Same as PTs, right? My wife used to only do back-to-back sessions. So only ever. She never did a one-off session for anybody. She would never even consider it. She'd just go, no, I can't do that. And then she would stack them. Like, I can do this time or this time. And they go, okay. And so she'd always have at least 3 sessions back to back.
Yeah.
And like, I was terrible. I just used to say yes to everybody. Be like, yeah, it's cool. Cause I lived across the road from the gym.
Yeah. You can just walk.
But I'd be back and forth all the time. And it's like, a 45-minute session actually ends up taking, an hour. So you kind of lose a bit of time here and there. But she was just like, why don't you just do back to back? I was like, oh, my clients can't do it.
Yes, I can.
But I just bought into the bullshit because she has the same people that I do. Like, they're different people, but it's the same clientele, you know? Yeah. It's just, but she just never bought into it. So that's why she ran a really good business. She made about 120 grand a year, and she just worked her like 5 hours back to back every day. She'd work from I think she would work from like sort of 2 till 7. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
Yeah. Nice.
Whereas I would work from 10 to 12, and then I'd work from 2 to 4, and then I'd work like from 6 to 8. And so it's like you kind of have this big, huge work day. And then you feel exhausted because you're at work all day because there's no point going home in between sessions, especially, because I only lived across the road from the gym for the last couple of years. So
yeah. Okay.
Actually, I was speaking on the weekend. I saw a guy on Facebook opened up his new gym. And the first thing that came into my head was, you poor son of a I'm so fucking glad I don't own gyms anymore.
I'm so glad that I'm not in one every day. All right, I think that's probably a good place to.
It's good. I gotta go to jiu-jitsu. So I gotta go strangle some people.
Yeah, I gotta make a call too. So,
all right, guys, thanks for coming. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, subscribe on whatever thing you're listening or watching on. And if you want to join us, go to the Closing Code Facebook group. We go live 6 days a week. I go live usually every week for about an hour and a half, where I do a Q&A and role plays and stuff like that. So that's all free if you want to check that out. And if you want to do some training with us, we have the Closing Code. It's like 50 Aussie dollar dues per week. So it's just a fortnightly contract, really. So pretty simple. Pay $25 for the first week, then $100 every 2 weeks after that. So pretty simple.
All right. Brilliant, guys. Thank you for your time today. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.